this on. Good afternoon, folks. Actually, wait, it's still morning. It's still morning. Morning, Guz Crew. This is your boy Ron. And well, just a special little message this afternoon. So, just thought I'd tell you. Wait, give me 1 second. It says share. Okay, whatever. Alright. Just had a lovely early morning reading session with the kid for school. And so far, to be honest with you, it's not that bad. If anything, it's actually showing me firsthand the things that the teachers have to deal with, right? That's the one thing that e-learning has taught me. It's given me a chance to see up close what my kids' struggles actually are in school. The things that the teachers see that we're oblivious to when we're away at work. Which I think is great. I think it's great in the sense that it helps me as a parent, so that way I know how to work with the teachers better. Because when you're away at work, you hear what the teachers say, some of us are extremely protective, and kids be like, nah, a kid wouldn't do that, that's not possible, who egged it, blah, 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 blah. No. Because again, you only see what you want to see, not what the teachers are seeing. But when you're there doing the e-learning thing with the kids, oh, you get to see what the teachers are beginning to see. Just granted, a little more downscale because you're right next to the kids, and they can think, so they will sort of think twice about doing anything stupid. But you get a better scope of things. Having said that, on to the theme of a small live stream video. That life, at times, is like a can of potted meat. Y'all seen that can of potted meat in the store? In the bodega, the supermarket, right? It just sits there. Not something you really care for if you were to sit down and look at the macronutrients of it. Obviously meaningless. Meaningless, pointless, not even remotely attractive. It's just a can of a grinded up version of Vienna sausages. Again, they don't mean diddly squat. Sometimes life is that way. Because life is unfair. But that's okay. Life is fair because it's unfair to everyone. That's why no one has the exact same cards in life. And that's fine. Because that means you start somewhere, you're going to end somewhere, but you got to figure that one out. And of course, if you have people along the way that can help you, that's even better. But despite life sometimes being like a can of potted meat, not attractive, kind of irritating to look at times, just there, but it's there. You gotta work with it. And sometimes, when life gets tough, you see that can of potted meat, trust me, eventually you'll have no choice but to pop it open. And that survival moment where it's like, crap, I'm out of food. This is the only thing in the house. I can't potted meat. We on. Thankfully, I haven't had that situation in many years. So, just if you're wondering, I haven't even had a can of potted meat in over 10 years. If you need to know. Not that I ever needed it. But life is like that. So, the relevancy to this is simple. Pre-COVID-19, pre this whole pandemic, if you will, I was actually at the leanest point of my life, even at my weight. Post-COVID-19, ooh, life got tricky. It turned trickier than a tricky dick. Because, I'm not going to talk about all the extra details. I just need to know about your boy Ron over here. When you're used to the last 3 years being active. By active, I mean the jobs that I consisted of involved me running around 4 or 5 miles a day on a 7-day basis. If you were to average out my work days with my rest days, you're looking at about 4 or 5 miles on average. And that's not counting weightlifting. right? Because weightlifting is like, oh, okay, that's like about 10% of my calories being burnt out for the day. But then you add the actual mobility, the actual movement on a 7-day basis. Oh, it was piling up extra. So of course it was easy for me to maintain my physique, and then when it came to my eating, things just lined up perfectly fine. Pandemic happened, right? Almost a whole month sitting my ass in here. And yeah, I had my resistance bands and all. But I have to say, anyone who is itching to jump back in the gym after this, I don't blame them. If you find yourself in a happy place jumping to a gym to get your workout in, go for it. That's fine. You know, whatever precautions they instill at the local gym you work out at, follow them best as possible. But truth be told, some people need it. Some people do. Do I need it? The short answer is no. The reason being, it's a matter of self-discipline, self-motivation, and then also involving reflection of the self in order to really dig back in deep onto the why. Doing some shadow work, if you will, as some would say. You know, dig into that little dark part of you that you gotta chip at, come to a conclusion, resolution with, so that life can get better. Yeah. So like for me, everything I used to do in the gym, for the most part, I could do with my resistance bands. And getting a set of resistance bands isn't expensive at all. Doesn't even cost you an arm and a leg. Doesn't even cost you a year's worth of gym memberships either. Like literally you could get a set of 4 bands. Lightest one resists up to 35 pounds. The biggest one in the set will be up to 125. You can stack them up if you want to get really giddy with your lifting for about $50 at most, if you're lucky. Yeah, $50. If you go to Alibaba or AliExpress or whatever, and you don't mind waiting for a month or two, probably half that, right? And then if you're really giddy, you really want to stack up and push yourself to the limit and then some, you can buy another resistance band that can actually go up to 200. And then really try to Louis Simmons your ass. And that will be, okay, another $30. Okay. That's where it starts adding up. But once you have that, you don't have to worry about the weight chipping away. You don't have to worry about, you know, a lot of the intricacies and maintenance that gets involved when it comes to dumbbells and kettlebells, where the weights start chipping off, so then all of a sudden the weight doesn't feel the same weight anymore, and then you have to replace them, etc., etc. That element is irrelevant to me. Now, what became relevant was the hack down an activity. So, as of now, since the pandemic, what used to be 4 to 5 miles a day on a 7-day basis for a whole month is now 2 miles a day on a 7-day basis. So my personal mobility has cut in half. Part of it working part-time. Part of it also, well, yeah, that. Because a lot of things have changed. A lot of moving parts, not how it used to be. So then it comes to where, as I mentioned before, you gotta face yourself, you gotta work with your problems, because here's the thing. I can run to the gym till kingdom come. At the end of the day, eventually I gotta face myself. You know? Some people would chug the bottle of alcohol away, get that liquid courage. Once that liquid courage wears off, guess what? You still gotta face yourself. You still gotta deal with your crap. Just like when someone gets high. Yeah, go ahead. Go play with the devil's lettuce, if you will. And guess what? The lettuce eventually runs out. But when it does, and the high is over, you still gotta face yourself, right? If you're a sex addict, get all that honky donkey in, I got news for you. Once that thrill's done, you still gotta face yourself. It's a fact of life. If you don't like it, that's too fucking bad. And if you're like me, and it sucks, because you know it does, get a therapist. And I say this in the most sincere, honest way. By the way, I am not drunk. This is straight up coffee. Thank you, Sonic. That's another thing I want to actually address real quick. Depression's a bitch. It is. It is such a bad bitch. You gotta bust your ass to make it your bitch. I was diagnosed with depression back in 2012. It was mild. Since COVID-19, I had been able to like keep it at bay, keep that little beast under control. But after these past several months, it just escalated to moderate depression with a little bit of anxiety. But I did what was basically the most sane thing to do in order to unfuck myself and get vigorous. Get a therapist. Seek help. It's very serious. Just look back at some of our favorite artists within the last 20 years. Some of our favorite athletes, some of our favorite wrestlers, actors, so on and so forth. A lot of them committing suicide, dying to overdose, all linked to depression and anxiety. I'm 35, I got a 7-year-old daughter. Do I really want to cut my life short? Do I want to allow myself to run into a direction of self-destruction? And for what? Nah, not worth it. I've come this far with myself, with accomplishing what I have for myself, to then just spiral out of control and just go into oblivion? No thanks. I'm good. I'll do what I gotta do for myself. Not just because I'm depending on me, but my kids depending on me as well. A lot of weight, but you know, with a lot of weight and a lot of lifting, you get stronger, right? So there's that. So never let the can of potted meat annoy the hell out of you. And it will. But just whoop its ass while you can. Because here's the funny thing about cans of potted meat. You toss them out and throw them around, they get bent, beat up, out of shape. And eventually, at one point, you're able to stop it and you see it get squashed to destruction in a complete oblivion. Guess what? That only means one thing. You found a way to make life your bitch. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by Ron Guns Entertainment. So, I hope some of this made you laugh. I hope some of what I just said made you think a little bit. Yes, I shaved. Yes, I did gain some weight. I did. I did gain body fat, not as much as I thought, but it was enough to give me a wake-up call. Gained weight that, quite frankly, I don't need, as some of you probably endured as well during this pandemic. But that's okay. We're gonna work through it. We're gonna kick it down. You know, the setback ain't nothing compared to the comeback. I strongly, firmly believe in that. And I will hang my size 12 Ride-A-Wear sneakers on that. I will die on that hill perfectly fine with a clean conscience. So, I thought I'd take the time to make this video outside of the usual video game live streaming just to let y'all know what's going on and, you know, some thoughts outside of my fun with gaming. So, to my Guns crew, love y'all. Blessings to all of you. Love and light. Namaste. Whatever you believe in that helps you feel better, feel great. And catch you on the flip side.